Welcome to MagicGathering Strat. Today we're going to talk about the bannings in Pauper. As of January the 28th, Empty the Warrens, Grapeshot and Invigorate are banned in Pauper. And there are maybe 4,000 cards in Pauper, somewhere between 3,000 and 4,000. And for all this time, only 2 cards have been banned. I know that other cards have been banned and then been unbanned. But Frantic Search and Cranial Plainting was banned, and I thought the format was pretty healthy. But now, Empty the Warrens, Grapeshot and Invigorate are banned. And we will look further into the reasons, but it's interesting to see that this announcement contains this much text. And it's all about the modern bannings instead of the Pauper bannings. So there's actually no official explanation yet. And one has been promised by Aaron Forsyth. So, our question is, how does this affect the metagame? We had a metagame with 3 tier 1 decks. Storm, in both his blue-red and Grixis shapes, Delver and Cloudpost. And this was sort of a rock-paper-scissors relationship. Delver beat Storm, Post beat Delver, and Storm beat Post. But now we have to play rock-paper-scissors without the rock. So it seems that scissors is a pretty good thing. And we're looking here at a world where Cloudpost has become a lot better. The decks that die then, of course, Blue-Red Storm, Grixis Storm and Infect. Infect will probably live on in some shape because Infect can still win. But it's hard to motivate playing Infect when you can achieve the same result by playing Stompy, which is also mono-green and Rancor and arguably a better deck than Infect even before the bannings. It has a good matchup against Cloudpost, and I think you're probably not doing it right if you are playing Infect. I have a plan and a theory about a Rotwolf control deck for a much slower, still mono-green control deck, which I will address if anybody's interested. I have playtested it a bit, though with Invigorate, but I don't think the loss of Invigorate will affect it very much. So, why did this happen? It's not clear yet, and we will probably receive an official explanation. But I think the reason is that Storm and Infect were the decks that could easily kill before turn 4. This can still be done in the new Pauper form, but it is much harder. And having looked at this, I think the decks that can do it is Stompy, Affinity, new Infect without Invigorate, and Delver Fiend. And I think there are some theoretical scenarios where other decks can also win on turn 3. I was told by Alex Ullman that Affinity can do it, though I haven't yet thought exactly how. I haven't really figured out how it's done. Of course, Burn can do it as well. So it's actually Burn can do it. And with Delver Fiend, I mean a Kiln Fiend deck with Delvers in it. Stompy accomplishes this by Nettle Sentinel and 4 Groundswells, and they have to not miss a land drop on turn 2 and 3. So first turn Nettle Sentinel, second turn Groundswell, third turn Groundswell. That's 20 points of damage. But very theoretical. A new Infect has an easier time, can even kill turn 2 with Glistener Elf, and then 2 Groundswells, Mutagenic Growth. But you see, this is much harder to do now that Invigorate is gone. So I think the format overall will slow down, and that will of course help the slow decks. So who are the losers and the winners in this metagame? I think the clear loser of the decks that did not die, of course Storm and Infect are the big losers, but the other big loser is Delver. Delver Blue was the thing that kept Storm decks in check, and Delver had a good aggro control, has a good matchup against a combo. And now that Delver Storm is gone and Cloudpost is on the rise, then Delver loses out. And this also will affect mono blue control, and in a sense it will affect any control deck that is slower, that is faster than is at post, such as mono black control and the trinket deck, which I will return to shortly. I don't think Burn, Mono Black Control, Ninja Teachings, Affinity and aggro decks are very much affected. Because Affinity, it is an aggro deck, so it wants Storm to be gone. But it was also an aggro deck that was fast enough to deal with Storm sometimes. Quick aggro decks or slower aggro decks are probably happy that Storm is gone, because they had a problematic Storm matchup, but very unhappy if Cloudpost is on the rise. So I think it's neutral for them. And the clear winners here are the two Cloudpost decks, Blue-Red Cloudpost and Blue-Black Cloudpost. That might include the Blue-Green Cloudpost decks that have shown up, like the other temporal Storm variants are probably also winners in this metagame, because they had a problematic matchup with red Storm decks. But if Cloudpost is the great winner, then Familiar Storm is on the rise again, because it has an excellent matchup against any control deck, including Cloudpost. And it did have problems mainly with Storm and Infect. So Familiar Storm is a deck to look out for, and it's a deck I will evaluate when the bannings are in effect. I think a green-white auras with a decent is-it post matchup will also benefit from this change. Green-white auras had a big problem with Storm. But the deck that maybe had the most problem with Storm of all decks was Stompy. I've seen Stompy players just ignore the Storm matchup because it was so unwinnable. I've also seen Deluxeicoff go 4 Spore Frogs and 4 Fogs and win against Storm. But I think Stompy is a big winner here as well. Maybe more than Cloudpost, because Stompy has a great Cloudpost matchup. A good Stompy player will beat a good post player. And now the big boogeyman for Stompy is gone. And it was always hard to play Stompy against Infect as well. So now Stompy should rise up. With a decent sideboard, it's much better than Delver in the matchup. So Stompy is a deck to look out for. Basically, Cloudpost, Familiar Storm, Stompy are the big winners. And if you look at like more rare decks, there are of course a lot to say. But I think Green Post could make a comeback, because Green Post is good at handling Cloudpost. It's also good at handling Familiar Storm. I think Songs of the Damned and Tortured Existence are two other decks that try to accomplish stuff that just gets crushed by Storm, and now Storm isn't there anymore, so maybe they have the time to do their thing now. And both of them are quite resilient against Cloudpost, I think. Maybe not Songs of the Damned, but Tortured Existence is for sure. So what about the pet deck of this channel, Blue-Black Trinket Control? Blue-Black Trinket Control had a decent matchup against Storm and 11 cards in the sideboard against Storm. It had a very good, an 80% matchup against Infect, and now Infect is gone. So overall the deck is a slightly worse choice than before actually, and there will probably be some sideboard changes. Every card in the sideboard has a use against many decks, and I'm not sure. I have asked my pro friend to see what has to change in the sideboard, and we'll get back to you with that. If you want to know more about Blue-Black Trinket Control in Pauper, check out my video Pauper Walkthroughs episode 1 and the many matchup videos. And talking about MagicGathering Strat, how will this affect the channel? I will not post any new Pauper videos before the bannings are in effect, and that's February the 6th, right? We will not remove any video with Storm, because they are there, so, and people know it's banned now, so it's gonna stay up. We'll do some other videos, probably draft, Battlefield, and maybe even a modern video. Maybe. If I can scrape together a modern deck. And, of course, this will be after February the 6th, but there will be a Gatecrash pre-release video and Gatecrash release videos. So prepare for some Gatecrash content. Thank you for watching MagicGathering Strat. And overall, I think in the long run this will be healthy for Pauper, and I think Pauper will have a very interesting metagame for the upcoming few weeks and perhaps longer. Thank you.